I am Donika.
And I am Myra, and this is a Black Women Healing Podcast.
A space to discuss mental wellness.
A space to dive into soul care and vulnerability.
Here, we will support you on your journey as you focus on your healing,
while also giving you the work along the way.
Welcome to Black Women Healing Podcast. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And as always, we bring you a special guest. And today we have LaQueshia Clemons. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing her name right because I love that. Is it LaQueshia or LaQueshia?
LaQueshia.
See, I knew it, y'all. I knew it. So we're going to get these names right every single time. And so we have LaQueshia Clemons. And before I introduce her in its entirety, we are going to talk about a random topic. So off the top of the head, this is a good one just because we're talking about names. So if someone kept saying your name wrong, what would you do? What would you do? Do you say anything when somebody says your name wrong? And if you don't, what's your reason and why? I'll start because this is something that's near and dear to me. I think so. My name is Donika, but a lot of times people call me Donika, Danica, Danica, all type of stuff. And for a long time, I didn't correct people. I used to be like, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I don't care. Unless you was like somebody who was my friend and was around me all the time, because I'm not about to hear that all the time. But in grad school, I forgot I don't know who said something. Somebody was like, you shouldn't let people just call you whatever name, because what if people start like as far as like networking, if somebody else says your name and now the next person is calling you that, and now you got a whole group of people calling you this incorrect name and it's not even really you. So after that, I just start correcting everybody. It kind of became excessive, in my opinion, sometimes, because it's difficult to have to tell people your name all the time. It's uncomfortable, they, especially if they saying something nice to you, they could be saying like, hey, you did a really good job, Danica. And you gotta be like, thank you, but my name's Danica. And it's just awkward. It's just awkward. But so I do correct people now. What about you, Myra?
I definitely correct people. At first I used to be like, oh yeah, that's my family's nicknames. I don't know how you could get Myra wrong. I've got Mira, Mary, Maya, Mariah. I don't know how you could do that. My name is very short and simple. I don't know how. But at first I was like, oh yeah, my family, they call me that, like to make people feel comfortable. But then after becoming friends with you, I used to get your name wrong. You correct me every time. And I was like, I'm gonna start correcting people. And so I kind of got it from you. Like I correct people every time, even in emails. Don't spell my name incorrectly. I started my name at the end, get it correct. And so I value that. And I feel like Black women in particular, we have very unique names. And so correct me. So I'm gonna correct you also. So I think it's important to do it because that's what my mama named me for a reason. So I'm gonna correct you. What about you?
Absolutely, Danica and Myra. Absolutely. My name's LaQueshia, and people get it messed up all the time. And I was the same way, Myra, where I would be like, you know what, it's okay. Like, I have a tough name. And then eventually, I would say definitely more in grad school, I was like, no, like, I'm going to keep correcting people because you're going to get my name right, because this is something I value. This is important to me. I say your name correctly. I want to make sure you get it. So saying names correctly is so important to me. Even if another person, if you have a name that I'm not sure of how to say it, just like you did, Danica, I'm gonna make sure, am I saying your name right? And there's those people that are like, oh, it's okay. And I'm like, no, tell me, make sure I'm saying it right. Because absolutely, saying my name correctly is important. I get LaQueshia, I get LaQueshia, I've gotten people shorten it to LaQ, and I'm like, no, that's not my name. That's not what it is. What?
I give you a nickname without your permission.
Right, call it whatever you want.
Exactly. And being a Black woman, that was important to me. It was like, I know I have this unique name. I know on paper, like, you already think I'm Black automatically, So I'm like, no, y'all gonna say this correctly. I love my name. This is my mama named me, and we're gonna keep it moving. So I'm with you there.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. So today we have LaQueshia Clemons. She is a licensed clinical social worker and an accredited financial counselor candidate. LaQueshia is the owner of Freedom Life Therapy and Wellness, where she provides financial therapy. LaQueshia is devoted to self-healing by providing behavioral health services and financial wellness education to individuals, couples, and practitioners. LaQueshia has extensive clinical experience working in outpatient clinics, community-based programs, and the criminal justice system. She uses her therapeutic skills to help bridge the emotional and financial needs of the person to help have a deeper understanding of their financial health. So yes, you all, we welcome LaQueshia Clemons. And if you haven't noticed, today we're going to be talking about financial therapy, which is a much needed topic. And I know, thanks, shout out to Myra for finding you, because she's been wanting to do this episode for a minute. And so
Forever.
I'm excited. I'm super
Awesome.
excited. So before we jump in, just so we can kind of get our definitions squared away, can you share the difference between a financial therapist and a financial counselor, if there is even one?
Yeah, so there's definitely a difference. So a financial counselor is someone that they have more financial skills, more of the financial background. They're ones that they're going to work on like budgeting, work on developing your money management skills or behaviors to help you identify those money management behaviors, and then kind of, guide you, give you strategies to guide you in terms of like more of your spending plan around money. So a counselor is really more of that finance piece, which is also why I decided to have that credentialing as well, because in my practice I want to make sure I'm bringing again that finance and the mental health piece. And then the financial therapist is more of, they're going to bring the financial and the therapeutic competencies together. So they're more so going to be, working on your emotional and your financial health together, just to improve your overall well-being. So your financial therapist really knows more about how your finances is going to affect that emotional part of your well-being.
Okay. No, thank you so much for breaking that down. I am interested on like, is there like a training that's different? Like where, like can anyone technically, like if they, start focusing on finances, can they, accredit themselves a financial therapist?
So unfortunately, the financial, I will say like coaching industry is not regulated. So anybody could technically call themselves a financial coach and give financial like I don't want to say advice, because there's financial advisors, which is, that is regulated. So there's certain topics that you can talk about within the finance industry that you could pretty much, you don't have to take any training and can call yourself that. But this is why I also tell people, like, when they're looking for someone, is to, do your research, because you do want to find someone who, has gone on and taken, been at least involved in some type of form of a course or, certification, have that, that background. So that way it's not just, I guess, a random person off the street that's like, okay, I'm going to be a financial coach today.
Yeah. Yeah, that coach word, those little changes of the title changes everything. And so
Absolutely.
to clarify, then your title would be a financial therapist.
Yes. So I call myself a financial therapist because I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So I have, that's my license. I have that background. And then me working on my accredited financial counselor certificate or designation, excuse me. I am able to piece those things together. So that way I'm focusing more on that emotional health, but I also know about finances and able to bring that into the session as well.
Yes, I love it. Okay. So I'm curious what a typical therapy session would look like for folks who are interested in having a financial therapist.
So usually, well, first let me start by saying is most people, I know I do, we have these like discovery calls. Like if you were going on my website and you say, hey, I'm interested in a financial therapist, like I set up a 15-minute, just a phone call with a person just to talk about like, what they're looking for, to see like if a financial therapist is really what they need, or are they needing a financial like advisor? Because there are sometimes when people are looking to just get more into an investment, which that's a regulated area. That's an area I can't touch on. So it may be me, making, a referral or suggestion to them of like, okay, it looks like you may need a different person in a different area. But if they decide, okay, yep, fine, if we have that discussion, they decide, all right, yep, a financial therapist is what you need. Our first session is going to be really around like goal setting and figuring out like, okay, what are we looking at? What are we trying to target? What are your goals? And then we really dive into the values, because the values are so important when it comes to money. And the example that I could use really is like paying your tithes at church. That is a value for a lot of people. And if you're someone struggling with money, I'm never going to take that away from you. That's something that means something to you, and it's important. So it's important that we make sure we can incorporate, your values into your finances, and look at other areas, because I don't want people to be like, you know what, okay, like I can't pay my church tithes, and then that brings on a whole nother layer of different feelings, different emotions going on. So I really like dig down into like what they value around their finances.
Okay. I have a question, because the reason why I became interested in financial therapy or a financial therapist is because I was on Twitter and I saw this girl, and she was talking about how she was from like this rougher neighborhood. She grew up in the projects, and now she's pretty well known for her helping people with their nutrition. And so now she's in a new tax bracket, right? And so she's like making six figures, but where she's from, family was struggling like really hard. And so she was saying like she feels this guilt of now making six figures and now being able to buy herself nice things, to where it's always on her mind. And so she was saying she felt like she needed a financial therapist. And so I was like, I never heard of a financial therapist. So I'm curious if that is what financial therapy would be for that type of instance. Like, I'm just curious, what situations would it be applied for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great, and you hear that so much so yes, that would be where we would talk about that and deal with that guilt that she's having, and how to work around that. And that's so common, and especially to within our culture, like, because when it comes to just gaining the information around financial wealth and the literacy around it, like, as generations keep going on, like we're learning more and more and more, and we're putting that in there. But there is that, there you have other family who may not be there, and there is that feeling of like guilt, like should I be making more, like, not feeling that feeling of like leaving them behind, but you're not. In reality, you're not leaving them behind. But we would work on that. I would probably use a lot of like cognitive behavioral therapy within that session, to help them, not feel so guilty around that. And then also working towards the family of like, okay, if you're feeling bad, is there a way that you feel like you want to give back within your family? Is there certain things you want to do? Because again, family is a huge value in most people's journey. So I want to make sure like they feel supported.
Okay, thank you for touching on that. What are some of the benefits for financial therapy? I feel like, we're starting to talk about it, but I'm curious, benefits and then also hurdles.
Well, I will say, so you're being able to tie your emotions and your finances together are definitely the benefit, because then we typically mindlessly spend, especially now living in a world where everyone has some type of card, or your card is linked to, your Apple Pay wallet or whatever it is, where you're just kind of clicking a button. we tend to spend very mindlessly. So linking that emotional and that finances together, the benefit would be you would be able to understand, okay, I'm upset right now, but because I'm upset, like I know that I'm not gonna go on Amazon and try to like buy something, because that's typically like what I might do. So in financial therapy, we would identify that. So what are some of those things that happen when you're dealing with your emotions, and how do you take them out? Because a lot of times people tend to shop, like especially when with COVID, with the pandemic that we're going through. That's what a lot of people are doing. People are just shopping, ordering, especially online. So that would be the benefit. The hurdle, honestly, it comes back to, I think there's a couple hurdles. It could be the family, like setting that boundary with your family, because you could be somebody who, let's say you're someone who gives to your family a lot, like financially, and that's okay. But sometimes you might need to set a boundary around it, because if you're struggling too, but then you're helping another family member out who's struggling, how are you gonna pull yourself out of this? So like a lot of times, like I'll talk about that with clients of, okay, can we set a boundary around it? It's okay if you want to give, your aunt somewhere else, a couple dollars. Okay, what does that look like? How much? Let's set a limit to that, because you're struggling too. And then it could also be things like we had talked about, what you brought up earlier, of like just the guilt, feeling bad. And then sometimes with that too, people tend to like self-sabotage themselves when they're feeling guilty, or they're feeling bad, or maybe they're like, I'm in a better place, but my family has bad credit, because that happens a lot too, is my family has bad credit, so I'm supposed to have bad credit. So they'll start feeling bad and like self-sabotage that, and we'll work on that, within financial therapy.
Is financial therapy ever an option for families? Like, do you ever see like families? I'm sure couples probably come, but I'm curious about like a family situation.
It's not a bad idea. I have not seen family. I see a lot of couples.
Okay.
Couples definitely come. If you're someone that, I mean, it's not a bad idea. If you're someone who your money is intertwined with your family in some ways, then absolutely, you could bring them along to therapy. It's definitely a good idea.
Okay.
Wow. I'm loving this episode.
I feel like I'm dropping a lot on you guys at once.
But good though, in a good way.
It's really good. Diving in a little deeper, in your personal opinion, what are some reasons that Black women usually struggle, or Black women struggle with money?
In my personal opinion, I would say probably more so that lack of knowledge around the financial literacy. And this really comes to, finances, we are taught really in our household. It's not something that was taught in schools, although they're trying, but it's not, personal finance is not something that you're taught in school. It's more of like what you're learned through growing up. And again, as generations change, I think we're getting better with our finances, but again, like it's all about how we learn things. So if you have family who, and you know what, let me use myself as an example, and this is kind of why I got into this, is because my family is one that they're not very, very good with money. My mom, she loves to shop. That is her thing. She loves shopping. As a kid, she dragged us to the mall, and we would be in there like all night. And so I hate the mall because of that. But she's quick to like, all right, let's put this on a credit card. Let's put this on a credit card. Let's put this on a credit card. So growing up, I learned, let's put everything on a credit card. Let's put everything on a credit card. So quickly, as in my young 20s, I quickly learned that I was racking up a whole lot of debt. I was getting paid. I was working, but I'm at the end of the week, when my paycheck comes, I wasn't having any money left over for myself, because I'm paying all the creditors, which had me dealing with a lot of anxiety, even some depression symptoms, because I'm like, where's my money? So, you know, again, it's generational. So that's how I was just taught. I was just like, put everything on a credit card and, you know, you pay it off over time. But I quickly learned through, you know, just doing some research, talking with others, that, okay, like, no, like, this isn't how we should be doing things. This isn't the way that I should be handling my finances. Everything should not be on a credit card. And I've been teaching my mom too, so she's very good now with it all. But yeah, like, I feel like that is probably like our biggest problem, is that, you know, we're just taught what's in our household, and like, we have to change that. And I think we're getting there as generations change. So like, my children, you know, hopefully growing as they get older, will have these financial skills so that they can bring into their adulthood.
Thank you for talking about that, because literally I had to go get my car fixed, and my mom, I don't know why she thought I needed a credit card, but she was like, apply for their credit card, just charge it to that. And I was like, I actually have the money saved. And it felt weird because I felt proud of myself to be able to say that. But at the same time, I was like, I feel like I should apply for the credit card and go ahead and get it. And so I felt like this tug, like, I don't even want to go pick my car up, because should I be listening to her and applying for this credit card? Because I got that ingrained in myself.
Yep.
You could do layaway. If you could do like some type of payment plan, you do that. But my dad, on the other hand, he's always like, if you have the money, you pay for it. So it was like my mind was like going crazy, where it was like, I feel bad that I'm paying for this and I'm not charging a credit card. It's
Absolutely.
crazy, like,
Yeah.
saying that, but just thinking about how it gets so ingrained in you, you're like, I feel like I'm betraying them by not doing what they said I should do. So I'm so happy. Like, I feel seen.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, the credit card one, that's a big one, I think, in our community in general. But yeah, and thinking of like my mom too, that credit card, woo, that thing will swipe, swipe, swipe. Where is a good starting point, right? So we're talking about this, and some people may not be quite ready for actual financial therapy. So what do you think is a good starting point for Black women in general? Like, where should we get started?
I think, you know, reading books around financial wellness helps. Listening to, you know, podcasts like this, that helps. And then being able to just start talking about your money, even if, you know, you're talking with your spouse, you know, significant other, somebody who's close with, just start having that conversation about, you know, how you're feeling about money, because it is something that we just don't talk about. So I think starting there would be good.
Absolutely. Do you have any suggestions
Nice.
for books or podcasts?
So I have read, so Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good one. And then I've done the ABC of Getting Out of Debt and podcast. So right now, to Anthony O'Neill, he's kind of part of like Dave Ramsey, but so many different podcasts out there. Money Talk with Tiff, she's a good one as well to listen to. So The Table with Anthony O'Neill is really good podcast to listen to as well. Oh, and His and Her Money Show, that's the other one.
Nice.
Thank you for all those goodies. I think, yeah, I've read some books, but I actually haven't listened to some podcasts, so I'm gonna check that out myself. Those are some good ones. Do you have any takeaway for our listeners other than the ones you just gave for the resources? This could be anything, too. Anything. So like that our listeners should know.
I mean, I would just say, you know, be mindful about your finances, because again, that's just an area that you will find. I have people that come to me that say, I don't spend that much, and then they look on their bank statements in one weekend and they're like, oh, I did spend on this and that. So just I would say, you know, start there of, you know, watching your finances of what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, LaQueshia, for joining us today. And I already know this episode is going to do really well, and I know people are going to get something out of it. As you can see, me and Myra were soaking this up ourselves. So we really appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes.
Right. So, y'all, this episode was dope, right? It was dope.
Right. It was much needed. Who
No,
knew financial therapists even existed?
Girl, I'm over here like thinking like, should I join? Should I?
Right. I was like, can I be a client? But you in Connecticut, so.
No, I'm saying I think I might want to be trained in this. Like,
oh,
I might have to look into this accreditation and see like what the training is.
Let me know. I'm kind of interested too.
Yeah, like we need more. Like the fact that, you know, I don't know how you found LaQueshia, but like they're not, you know, Black, especially
A year to find her.
right? It's not just there. So like I'm pretty sure we can benefit for having more financial therapists in the community. So I mean, it might be a thing, y'all. Might check me out soon. But for now, I'm appreciative of her doing this beautiful work that is much needed. Yeah, I think throughout this episode, I was thinking about how when I find like not even like a huge amount of money, but just when I first, like when I got a salary paying job, even understanding the difference between like a salary and hourly and the benefits and all that stuff, just not understanding any of that. Right. And, you know, not being able to talk to anybody about it. I had joined a book club, a financial book club in LA.
Remember that?
Yeah, and that changed my life. Like seriously, that book club and the women in the book club, like some of them were financial accountants and some of them actually were in the field, but then some of them were just like, you know, an IT worker or whatever, different types of cases. And we read a book every like month, geared toward finances, and just to be able to talk about it freely and openly just made me like just feel more comfortable and understanding that you can't be scared of it. Everybody's finances look different. I love the fact when people talk about values, because it doesn't mean that you can't do things that you enjoy. My budget and my finances and how I choose to spend it will look completely different than the next person. And it doesn't mean that I'm doing bad with my finances. I've had to gear my finances, my financial goals based off of my values. So that's like the number one, like understanding that piece. But the financial book club, I'm just saying, y'all, changed my life. I'll put the information for the financial book club in our description. So if you want to,
is it still going?
It should be. Yeah, I haven't been
virtual.
Right. Yeah. So they offer virtual, and I think the last one though actually may have been face, because it was a choice of face to face, if you were vaccinated. But it's a small group. But and if it's not going, then I suggest y'all to look around wherever area you can go on meetups and just put in financial book clubs and stuff, or, you know, it's all type of Facebook groups. Like, I feel like you should be able to find something, especially if you don't have to be in the LA area. You can find something in your area, but yeah, join a book club if you're not ready yet to see LaQueshia. But if you're ready, reach out to my girl.
Yeah. Isn't it you that told me about the Black version of Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a Black version, y'all. So
yeah, you for sure tell me about that. What is it called though?
It's called, hold on. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it's like the African American version or something.
Yeah, because I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it.
Literally, just adding in. It's called. Oh no, this is Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice.
Yeah, but they said that's like the Black version of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so it's a book called Think and Grow Rich. And it's just, you know, Think and Grow Rich. And then this is the Black choice, which is specific for Black Americans. But I don't know if it's just like Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I don't know.
There was some book. I feel like you told me that there was a Black version of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It probably is. I would hope so. But yeah, Dad Poor Dad, it may have a Black version, not sure, but that's something we should check out. But this one, the Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice, I'll add that to the description as well. So Myra, what are your reflections on today's episodes, or do you have any resources you want to share?
I really like this episode. I feel like I want to get a financial therapist, but for not like a long-term thing. I'm more so thinking like a solution focused type of thing. Yeah, I feel like I really need it just because I feel like I have like a tug because, you know, I grew up in two different households at one time. And so my dad grew up more wealthy and then my mom grew up poor. And so I feel like I struggle with what I should do because I mean, I'm in between two parents. Growing up in both homes, they both tell me two different things. And so I feel like I'm oftentimes confused and I don't know whose advice to take, or I feel bad when I listen to one parent, when it's like, should I listen to the other parent? So I don't know. I feel like that's why I kind of want the support to kind of process through those things. And as far as a resource, I just started getting into finances and stuff like that. Like I just got like life insurance. I just got a Roth IRA. I'm just not getting into those things. And the resources I would say I suggest, we can share them in the show notes, but there is this one lady that I follow on YouTube and she just knows a little bit about everything. Can't think of her name off the top of my head, but I'll definitely share it so that way we have it. And then there's this one girl on Instagram. Her name is like Kazam or something like that. She's pretty popular. Okay. I might be saying her name wrong. Y'all probably seen her video. She always starts, man, listen. I hate when she says that. Oh my gosh, it drives me freaking crazy. But she always has really good information. So her and there's this one lady who I really admire, Delaney Money Coach. She's really good. I really like her.
Instagram too.
Instagram also. The last one I want to share is this therapist who she went into a lot of debt becoming a therapist. And so me and my therapist friends are always talking about her. What is her freaking name? We were just talking about her the other day. Like we were having a full-blown discussion. Oh my God, I got to look up her name. But she used like the Dave Ramsey method of snowballs. But now she talks to like other therapists about like cutting down their debt. So I think that's a good therapist resource, but all Instagram and YouTube people. So we'll share them in the show notes so that way y'all can just click around and see like who I'm talking about, because clearly I'm forgetting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of goodies in the show notes, y'all. So make sure you check it out. If this episode, you know, wasn't for you, share it to somebody else. This episode could be very helpful to so many different people. So we want to make sure that we're sharing all of this beautiful, wonderful, helpful information. So yeah, continue listening to us. If you haven't checked out our website, we have some goodies on there as well. And we will see you all next Monday.
Yes. So y'all, we have to shout out our friends over at Fiverr. We are officially a Fiverr affiliate, and I love Fiverr because you can literally go to them for any type of project you might want to work on, whether it be if you need a new logo, you need help with the resume, you need help with social media, they help you over there. So go ahead and check out our friends over at Fiverr. That's 5ERR. So 5 with 2 R's at the end. So go ahead and check them out with the link in our bio and tell them that we sent you.